It's almost like 2004 has risen from the ashes like a phoenix because something else you're doing, and it's 2023 as I say this. I want to make sure everybody out there, it is 2023, and I'm about to say two words you haven't heard in a long time. But you're also now raising capital for Circuit City. Circuit City. It's 2023. Please explain yourself.
Oh, that's good. So yes, we all know Circuit City. You could probably remember yourself walking into that store as a kid or a young adult.
I remember the commercial with the big plug. It was genius. The plug was like the front lobby. Like they'd have the plug come down and plug in, and it was like the building. It was so cool. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I actually have a lot of good memories of Circuit City. And when I was just as shocked as you when I learned that they've been back in business as an e-commerce store and that they're raising capital to expand again. So, for those of you not familiar with their demise, basically what happened is they were a brick and mortar store. They owned way too much real estate. They had mismanagement there the debt was really bringing them down. So they had to fire key employees that basically made it very hard for them to compete because they didn't have good staff. The customer service lagged. Then they didn't have the cash flow to invest into e-commerce, which is the way of the future at the time. And then 2008 started happening. And that was the nail that kind of put the coffin in the nail in the coffin. And around 2009 is when they declared bankruptcy and ultimately, went under. They had to liquidate everything. So what happened is that a gentleman in his family office purchased the IP rights to the Circuit City in 2018, and he started it back up as an e-commerce store. They've done $120 million in revenue from 2018 to present. They're averaging about $25 million
Holy
a year.
crap.
I know this is all going on in the background. I had no idea until about 3 months ago. So they are doing about 25 million. They're profitable right now. And how I got introduced to this is really an attribute to how important relationships are when you work with people. And so Josh Siegelbaum was the investor relations for GCC, Green Coffee Company, and he had a baby. He was just very, he had a big change in his life. He stepped away from GCC, and shortly after, he created a relationship with Ronnie, the CEO. And they decided he was about to go IPO, Ronnie was, or go venture capitalist. So Josh and him got together. They decided, you know what? We're not ready for VC. I don't want to go IPO yet. Let's do retail investing. So they put together a Series A offering. And then I had a Marine Corps training event down in Fort Lauderdale. I'm still in the reserves. And I went down there. I had lunch with Josh, like with no prerogative. We're just friends. We talk. I actually share a lot of what I learned from Gobundance with him. He's such a great guy. He's like trying to get him into a merge and Gobundance. But we had a conversation. He's like, yeah, dude, I'm doing this thing with Circuit City. I'm like, what? Whoa, explain this to me. Because at first I'm like, what? I don't know about all this. Like you're not going to bring it back. Like, really? And after I started learning more about it, I'm like, dude, this is pretty freaking cool. And if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. So fast forward about 2 months, Josh and I, we work so well together. You know, when you have a business partner and you guys just get along, you kind of balance each other out. We have that relationship, and we started essentially a capital raising company, and we are now contracting with Circuit City and working with them to launch their Series A offering for $25 million, estimated about 7.35x equity multiple with an exit in 2028. So
unbelievable, man. So you're What's up, Tribe listeners? I want to talk about our sponsor for today's episode, Gobundance, the tribe for healthy, wealthy, generous people who choose to live epic lives. It's a tribe I've been a part of for 5 years now, and I keep coming back year after year because of the quality of the connections and interactions that I get and the accountability that I get toward the goals that I'm looking to achieve. Gobundance has meant everything to me. So I'm really, really proud to sit here on the Tribe of Millionaires podcast and tell you a little bit about Gobundance. Here's the thing. Why do you live where you live? Think about it. Why do you live in the neighborhood you live in, or the apartment building you live in, or wherever it might be? Usually people move into a community because of the quality of the neighbors and all of the amenities that are available to them. And then they go about using those amenities and leveraging that community to the best of their ability for growth. They make connections with neighbors, lifelong friendships, things that serve them. We want that for ourselves, for our wives or husbands, and our children. That's what Gobundance is at the next level. Imagine if you're a man moving into a community of other millionaire men that are driven toward being the best versions of themselves as fathers, as husbands, in their health, in their relationships, in their contribution, you name it. That's what Gobundance provides. For me, it's been everything. I get with my Gobundance brothers on a weekly basis and I tell them, this is where I'm trying to go. Things I can't share with the regular folks in my life, my friends, my family that I've known forever. They only know me for who I've been. Gobundance guys, they know me only for who I'm becoming. And when I deviate, when I go off course from being that guy, from taking action toward being that guy, that's when they step in, that's when they hold me accountable, and that's what accelerates my growth. Go to Gobundance.com right now and apply. If you're a millionaire and a man, Gobundance.com. If you're a woman and a millionaire, GobundanceWomen.com. And if you're not quite a millionaire, go to GobundanceEmerge.com and you join me in the community that I've created in partnership with Gobundance to get yourself to that place of being what we call a whole life millionaire. Gobundance.com. You can start there, see everything that we have to offer. It's an incredible community. I can't wait for you to be a part of it. Now, back to the show. You're raising for Circuit City. I'm going to guess while like watching Lost, I'm thinking of everything from 2004, going to the Spider-Man 2 movie, so you're literally like flashing back to this time. That's incredible. No idea that they were still even around. It's funny. I think Ty Lopez, I might be wrong on this, but Ty Lopez bought Radio Shack.
Yep,
which
that's
is
right.
still out there, I think. I heard that went through some turmoil more recently, but until recently, at least, like even Radio Shack, something that I remember being in malls in like the 90s, like that was still out there. So it's amazing how these brands, like they become, maybe iconic or huge or just pervasive everywhere. And then they're still around, but just in a different capacity. So here's my, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that Ty Lopez, you're right. So I believe he just sold Radio Shack. And I just learned this because I pivot a lot into different industries. I have no idea like what the hell I'm doing. And so I learn it and I like love it. Like consumer electronics was not a space I was in, but I'm actually like learning this whole other side of business, which is IP assets, like the intellectual property of all of these companies, like think Toys R Us, Pier 1 Imports. All these companies are being bought for several million, if not hundreds of millions of dollars just for the name. And it blows my mind. And they actually got an offer for Circuit City just for the name, not for the business, for 40 million, like not too long ago. So I'm like, what? Maybe I need to start buying companies like names that have good reputation and just like holding on to it as an asset.
Could you dissect that for a minute? Toys R Us just perked up my ears because, man, I just remembered them, right? Like they're everywhere. Now they're nowhere. But so somebody buys rights to the name Toys R Us with the intent of doing what?
Yeah, so relaunching it, using the name, using it to throw up in e-commerce. A lot of people are doing the store-in-store concepts. They're partnering with larger retail brands, which is one of the things that Circuit City is doing. They're partnering with JCPenney, and they're looking at other ones like Macy's and even Home Depot's to be able to throw in their electronics into their stores. So there's a lot of different things that are good for retailers. So like if you think about it, if a retailer wants to capture some of the toys space, what Toys R Us can offer is like, hey, we have a turnkey, we have all the sourcing, we have all the customer support, we can fulfill these for you. Like they can bring in their toys into their retail spaces, and now all of a sudden they have toys. Or in our case, JCPenney wants to start to get into the consumer electronics space. They bring us in, we have a little white space in their store set up. People can shop for electronics in that space. They can go on jcpenney.com and see powered by Circuit City and buy electronics now. JCPenney doesn't have to do anything. We're handling everything for them. It's a turnkey now being able to offer these brands. The alternative is they'd have to go out and make relationships with the Apples, the Samsungs, the LGs, and they're just not going to do that because it would take years to get those brands on board to be able to offer those. And not only that, like convince them that they should even be able to sell Apple products in their store when they're not a consumer electronics retailer. So we're bolting on, and a lot of these brands are bolting on to and partnering with other retail spaces. And Toys R Us is still very is around. And Ronnie told me what they were bought for. It's not disclosed, but it was an insane amount of money. Like, I don't remember what it was, but I just remember thinking like, that's nuts. So the IP stuff, intellectual property of these brands is just wild.